So when I first started seeing these Studio Ghibli pictures popping up on my social media feed, I didn't know what the backstory was, but I could tell it was AI. I could tell it was like an AI program, and my heart just sank because, like many artists, I was familiar with the famous video of Miyazaki talking about AI. When he saw AI for the first time, he saw some art or videos created with AI that some, I believe, Japanese students made, and his reaction was one of disgust and horror and devastation. I think you could see anger in his reaction and a little bit of loss of faith in humanity. He even said that it seemed that humans were losing faith in themselves, because I think it's coming from this idea that art is a very spiritual and a quintessentially human thing. So the idea of having a machine take over this one thing that many people believe is what differentiates us from every other type of spirit in the world, that we are able to create art, that we are able to channel our feelings, emotions, our experiences, our interpretation of the world into art, is historically seen as something that's very special to humans, something that's very human. So when I saw these Studio Ghibli pictures, that's all I could think about, is what a betrayal to the original creator's beliefs and spirit and his point of view on this subject. It was just so egregious and offensive. I, as an artist, especially when I was doing fine art, I was always of the opinion, and I think to some extent I still am, that once you make art in the world, it is its own thing, it has its own life, and the amount that you can kind of control how the audience reacts to it and what the audience does with that is a bit out of your hands. It's out of the artist's hands. And I'm talking about reactions in the traditional sense, which is human to human. A human being looks at a piece of art, feels emotions, brings their own interpretations, their own experiences, and their own knowledge to that piece of art, and understands it in a unique, individual way as a human being, and then comes away from that piece of art with new ideas and an expanded view of the world, which then they can create new things with. But AI is doing something totally different. AI is human to machine. It's a machine's interpretation based on the entire wealth of knowledge of Earth, basically, that's available on the internet anyway, and remixing that and manipulating that into something else autonomously. Like, have you ever heard of automatons before? Automatons were made in the 18th century, and they were these kind of like robot-looking things, but they weren't really robots because they weren't really computerized or anything. They were simply created to perform tasks and simulate activities that looked like the machine had a mind of its own. So that's what I think of when I think of these AI interpretations of art. It's like an automaton is mimicking being an artist, but all it really is a machine without a soul that's mimicking real life. And what's painful is that people come away from these Ghibli AI pictures feeling like, oh, that's exactly like what he was doing. It's the same thing, but it's not the same thing. The way that Miyazaki would have made those images, the way that the human being would have done so, with all of his human complexities, his emotions, his inner world, his philosophies and ethics, his human hand, would be unique and completely novel and unlike anything ever made in this world before. And anything that AI makes is just an echo of what could be. One thing that really bothers me about this is how people just flatly interpret the AI products as being completely equal to the things that Miyazaki made himself, when they're not. AI never would have come up with that style on its own, because that style was built upon Miyazaki's unique personality, his worldview, his experiences, his knowledge and expertise drawing. Even when you get down to like the physical shape of a person's body and the ergonomics of somebody's arm and hands when they go about drawing and making work, like all of those sort of human limitations affect what your art looks like. Because there's a lot of talk right now about art as a product, and while you can use AI to make a product that aesthetically and stylistically resembles Miyazaki's work, the AI could never have originated that. It's more like a Xerox, a copy, or even a parody of Miyazaki's original work. When it comes to a franchise or storytelling that is so strongly based in a point of view that is unique to an individual, when the art is really tied to the person, I think most people who are familiar with his movies and work would correlate him, Miyazaki, with the art that he makes. I think that's where it gets a little deeper. I think then, when you're talking about a world where this art is coming from, the opinion of the artist is God and should be respected. So I just feel like if Miyazaki says that he does not agree with AI and finds it to be abhorrent, then people should just be respectful and not feed his life's work into the machine.